Hey guys, Kakarot197 again. This time with a review of the 144 scale real grade Tallgeese Endless Waltz version. And for a mobile suit with such a simple design as the Tallgeese, they did a really good job of blending it together with the real grade aesthetic. For example, the Tallgeese is a very white machine, so they gave it a whopping 4 shades of white. 2 shades of more grayish white, and 2 shades of just white. And even between those, there is a noticeable difference. For example, the legs are pure white, but then we have the body and the side skirts, which is slightly more off-white. The same thing happened with the yellow. The cuffs are just standard yellow, whereas all of the rest is a more orange yellow. Combine that with some really nice detailing going on all over the machine, and completely unnoticeable seam lines, and we have a great looking Tallgeese that you're only gonna make better with the included stickers. We have a lot of metallic stickers to make the detail pop even more, and a bunch of marking stickers, including of course Zex's crest. And fortunately for the Tallgeese, the beauty only continues when we look underneath the hood. Unlike most real grades, the Tallgeese features a more hybrid inner frame. The arms and the feet are what you would expect from a real grade, but the rest of the inner frame feels more like a scaled down master grade. And while certain real grade purists, if those even exist, might be somewhat shocked by this, it gives the Tallgeese that stability that the real grade line is always looking for, but doesn't always achieve. The Tallgeese is absolutely a super solid kit for a real grade, with the only thing that is slightly more flimsy being the verniers, because they have a lot of stuff going on with them, which also makes them slightly heavy, and the Tallgeese somewhat back heavy when you have him in a neutral pose without his weapons. Of course, that is very easy to fix. But before we have a look at that, let's see how this inner frame keeps up with the Tallgeese's articulation, and how this more master grade-esque inner frame deals with real grade gimmicks. The head is on a single ball joint, goes up, down, rotates around, wiggles, and then this little piece here also goes up and down to give the illusion that it actually has more than a single ball joint. The arms rotate around, just be careful for the verniers on the back. Now, these things, because it is the Endless Waltz version, attach to the back rather than to the shoulders. Also go a little bit forwards and backwards, but kind of shockingly not up and down. The arms will go really nicely up like that, rotate around, then bend at the elbow, also giving us some really good, real great-esque part separation. Go back like that, then the hands are on ball joints, will wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. Then the waist is on 2 hinge joints, goes really nicely forwards, a little bit backwards. That is also because we have this little hatch that's kind of getting in the way, so that the back will always stay up, even with the additional weight of the verniers. What you can do is pop it out slightly, and then you will get a more backwards bending pose. So it's really cool that you have that locking mechanism if you want to put the Tallgeese just in a neutral pose and you don't want to risk the verniers weighing the Tallgeese down. Of course, we will also get some side-to-side rotation. Now, the body itself doesn't go side to side, but the entire waist section will go side to side independently from the legs. It is only a little bit, but it is there. And the legs themselves will go nicely forward like that. And then you'll see that there's also this track on the inside so that you can get that little bit more articulation. The legs will go out all the way like that. We'll also rotate around nicely. And then the knees will go nicely like that. And as I said, we have the more master grade-esque inner frame, but we still get those real grade gimmicks. So once you have the armor on, that master grade-esque inner frame does wonders for the Tallgeese. And the feet go slightly side to side, and they are really nice, clicky, and sturdy. So while I'm having a little bit of trouble moving them now, Again, these are doing wonders for the Tallgeese's stability. We'll rotate around, and again we have that kind of clicking movement to make sure that the Tallgeese is absolutely secure. Go down, go up nicely, and again click back into place. We also have a bit of a toe joint going on. And all of this means that the Tallgeese isn't just a highly articulated mobile suit, which is what you would expect from a real grade, but is also a super solid kit. I feel comfortable, I wouldn't say like playing around with him, but I feel comfortable posing this thing, which is absolutely not something I can say for some of the other real grades that I've handled in the past. And things are only gonna get better with the accessories. Starting off with his main weapon, the Dober gun. And Bat and I realized that this was the main attraction of the Tallgeese because they gave it a super cool gimmick in my opinion. It actually has the recoil damper on it. This thing pops out when you push it back. And you pull it back to the front again. It goes in, this thing goes up, and this is just such a cool little extra. It's so amazing to do it, and I can see like stop motion people really enjoying this thing. We also have a removable clip. Unfortunately, there's no extra ammo packs. Let's put that back in there. Then we have a really nicely articulated holding bracket. Once this goes onto there. And then these handles are also really articulated because of course it is going to sit next to the arm in a kind of an awkward position, but these handles are super articulated and this will also go in and out. Another thing I really love about this version of the Tallgeese is when you just look at the shoulders, you don't see a hole where this is going to plug into. What you have to do is open up this panel to reveal a hole, and that just makes the Tallgeese feel more realistic. And then of course to hold on to it, we get a right trigger finger hand. There we go, and now our stability problems of the somewhat back heavy verniers are completely gone. And then for defense, we have the Tallgeese's shield with beam sabers on the other side. And if you want to remove the beam sabers, they also have the anime action of moving to the side so the Tallgeese can grab them and pull them out. Let's put them back and pop them into the other shoulder. And if you want to hold on to the shield, there is a handlebar in there. And we also have a left trigger finger hand, which doubles as a holding hand. And now our Tallgeese is totally ready to take on any Gundam. But let's for a second imagine that he's facing off against the heavy arms. And that means he's gonna need his beam sabers active. So let's ditch the Dober gun and look at what we're getting for the beam sabers. Because I was pretty surprised by this. Because in the past, oftentimes we got the choice between either a standard holding hand, which is also the same trigger finger hand that you're using with the Dober gun, or they included like a beam saber hand that's more at an angle. But this is one of the only times I've seen a kit offer both styles. The one kit I can think of is like the Gan, which is a dedicated close combat mobile suit. So seeing it with the Tallgeese is really cool, but it doesn't end there. Of course, we're getting the standard issue pink beam sabers, and other than that, we're also getting a pair of clear beam sabers. I was really taken aback by this because at first when I started opening the box, I just saw the clear beam sabers and I thought like, oh, we're gonna have to paint them ourselves. Then I also saw these, which is the best of both worlds, because if you're a straight builder, you're just going to use these pink blades and you're going to disregard these clear blades. Or if you're a painter, you're going to have a field day painting these in whatever color you want. And whichever one you're going to end up taking, the end result will be awesome. Then for other accessories that we're getting is also a tiny Zex figure, because of course we gotta have that with a real grade, in addition to an opening cockpit with no real detail on the inside, but it's still really cool that we get the opening cockpit. Other than that, we get two open palm hands if you just want to do some interesting poses, we get an Action Base 2 connector. And finally, let's have a look at those verniers that I've already mentioned a few times during this review. Now you gotta be careful with these because they are true works of art. But just like works of art, they can be ever so slightly fragile. And here we again get some cool gimmicks, because when you pull this piece out, the piece on top folds out as well. And you can see some really intricate detail in here, lots of opening panels. That little wing is awesome, but that's also the one thing that kind of broke on the other side, because the C-clip that connects it to the inner workings cracked on mine. But we get even more opening panels. This here opens up, and his butt flaps also open up, revealing even more thrusters. To say, don't forget, this thing is 3 times as fast as an Ares. One other cool feature that it has is there's a little handle that pops out, which allows you to connect the side skirt to the leg directly. And what this is usable for is if you always want to make sure that this thing is not going to get separated from the leg, well, then you can do that. Though I generally prefer not to do it because it just makes it easier to pose the Tallgeese. Another thing that opens up is the head, revealing that this thing is actually just a giant Leo. Unfortunately, because, well, the inside of the head has a lot of things going on, you can see that there are already some indents on that really nice metallic green sticker. So if you want to have your Tallgeese with the Leo head, I suggest you don't put the cover on. As always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? Absolutely. The Tallgeese is an amazing real grade. Not just that it has everything you would expect from a real grade. Great looking thing, great detailing, the color separation is simply amazing, great articulation, but on top of that, it is a solid kit, which is not something we can say for every real grade out there. Simply put, I'm having a hard time saying bad things about the Tallgeese. It is very simple. If you like Gundam Wing, if you like Zex, or if you just like great model kits in general, the Tallgeese is absolutely a model kit to consider. Sure, the opinion on Gundam Wing might be somewhat mixed depending on who you're asking, but that does not take away that for any Gunpla enthusiast, this is an amazing kit. The only reason you might want to buy this is because I'm doing a giveaway of this thing, and the link to that will be in the description down below and the pinned comment. On to size comparisons. Here it is next to the Serpent Custom and the Gym 3 Beammaster. And as you can see, for a Gundam Wing era machine, the Tallgeese is a pretty big one. And that's not just because the real grade has bad proportions, that's because the Tallgeese is actually this big. And that's all for this review. See you all next time, and be sure to get this thing.